Time Walk with Me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Time Walk with me. I am the Time Walker, and this is a second look at my Hinata Dawn-Crowned deck. I was gold fishing with it yesterday, and I thought that it's a bit too focused on instants and sorceries that get discounted by Hinata. I swapped in some support cards, so I thought maybe it's better now? Maybe? I'll go over all the cards in the deck so that this works as a standalone EDH video. Hinata is a 2/4 Kirin Spirit with Flying and Trample. He costs 1 generic, 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white mana to cast. Same as the French flag. Coincidence? Probably. Spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast for each of that spell's targets, and spells your opponents cast cost 1 generic mana more to cast for each of that spell's targets. This will make people very upset and want to kill Hinata, so I included spells to help protect him, as you will see. Unfortunately, it'll be more difficult to target opponents' permanents that have ward, but I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes. Because Hinata lowers the cost of spells by 1 per target, spells that cost X to target X things let you target as many as you want for free. I'm sure there are really good spells I'm missing here, but these are the ones I have here right now. By Force. This lets you destroy all of your opponent's artifacts for 1 red mana. Curse of the Swine. This lets you replace all of your opponent's creatures with 2/2 boars, and it exiles, so it gets around indestructible. Builder's Bane. This one costs double X, so you'll have to pay 1 X, but that's a lot better than paying it twice. Like by Force, it destroys artifacts, but it also hurts the controllers of the artifacts it destroys. Prismatic Boon. For a white and a blue mana, all your creatures get protection from a single color of your choice until end of turn. It's great to keep your creatures safe from a blasphemous act, or protect Hinata from targeted removal. Disorder in the Court. The creatures in this deck don't have ETB effects that this instant exploits, but it's still good for protecting Hinata and other creatures from removal, and it's good for creating clue tokens. March of Swirling Mist. It's really cool that this is an instant because you can use it to get all of your opponent's creatures out of the way before a lethal attack, or you can use it to protect your creatures from a board wipe or targeted removal. You won't have to worry about the cost reducing part because each target is free. Mass Manipulation. This is another double X spell, but you can see why. For 4 blue mana and 1 additional mana each, you can gain control of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. And Open into Wonder. This can fill up your hand, plus give you a nice unblockable attack. These spells all target 1 or more thing and will be discounted accordingly. Serpentine Strike. This creepy tentacle potentially exiles 3 creatures, costing 4 mana instead of 7. Pinnacle of Rage. 3 damage to each of 2 targets for 4 mana is a bargain. Fractured Identity. This takes away someone's toy, which can be any non-land permanent, and gives a copy of it to everyone else. Reinterpret. For 3 mana, you counter a spell and cast a spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand. Slip Out the Back. This is here to protect Hinata, but I guess you could use it on any creature for whatever reason you might have for wanting it to go away for a bit. Orym's Thunder. This becomes Disenchant with a fiery twist. Urtai's Scorn. I was going to put in a bunch more counterspells, but I found other ways of protecting Hinata. But I had to include this one because it could end up only costing 1 blue mana. Shore Up. This is good spot removal protection, and it untaps something for a surprise block. Lightning Strike. With Hinata out, this is a lightning bolt. Bring to Trial. For 2 mana, you can exile something big and scary. This would even take out a Blightsteel Colossus. Pull from the Deep. Recycling spells is good for the environment. Return to Dust. This is a double disenchant for the same amount of mana. As a disenchant, that is. Read the Tides. This is here as much to be a late game draw spell as an earlier game bounce spell. Wing Shards. This is great for making someone regret attacking you. Said/Done. This gets you something back from your graveyard or taps down 2 creatures for a few turns. Sungold Barrage. This simply takes out a big creature as long as it's not indestructible. Reality Ripple. This can protect Hinata or get something out of the way. Hate Mirage. 2 mana to get 2 temporary copies of opponent's creatures. Crush Contraband. If you choose to destroy an artifact and an enchantment, it only costs 2 mana. Disenchant. I often compare white spot removal cards to Disenchant. It's a good card, especially for 1 mana in this case. Time Warp. I put up the Japanese one because it's the one that I have. This will only cost 4 mana because it gives an extra turn to target player. You'll probably choose yourself, but you could choose someone else if they're out of cards in their library. Magma Opus. If there are enough targets available, this can cost as little as 2 mana, or early in the game you can get a much needed treasure token. And Walk the Eons. Here's another targeting extra turn spell, this time with buyback. Kind of expensive buyback though. There is a creatures section, but that is for creatures that I would use primarily for combat. The creatures in this section are for whatever their abilities are. Elsha of the Infinite. This turns the top card of my library into an extension of my hand. Zephi, Thunder Conductor / Collector. This human shaman does cool stuff when I cast instants and sorceries, which I will do often. Metallurgic Summonings. This enchantment doesn't care what discount you got on casting it. It looks at its normal mana cost for the purposes of determining the power and toughness of the constructs it creates. Sunforger. This gives you a repeatable tutor effect for your red and white instants and sorceries that cost 4 mana or less. Thermo Alchemist. This creature adds a little damage cantrip to all your instants and sorceries. Kylox's Volt Strider. As soon as I got this card from a pack, I wanted to put it in a deck. It lacks evasion, but it potentially helps recycle your instants and sorceries. Taigam, Ojutai Master. This human monk prevents your instants and sorceries from being countered, and if he attacks, your instants and sorceries get rebounded, so you can cast them again the turn after you cast them. Double Vision. I really like this enchantment. It copies the first instant or sorcery you play each turn, which includes your opponent's turns. Vodalian Illusionist. This is a repeatable way to phase creatures out, be they yours or another player's. Mavinda, Student's Advocate. Once each turn, this creature basically gives flashback to 1 instant or sorcery every turn, even my opponent's turns, though I can still only cast sorceries during my turn. Heartflame Duelist / Heartflame /. This is here to give your instances and sorceries lifelink. That's pretty useful for the spells that do damage. Useless for the ones that don't, though. These creatures are generally pretty straightforward, but I'll comment if I have a comment. Sarah's Guardian. Sprite Dragon. This gets bigger whenever I cast a non-creature spell, which I'll be doing often. Dragon Mage. This could have been put in the other section, but I needed more creatures for this section, so it's here. It's nice for filling and disrupting hands. Zatalpa, Primal Dawn. Itali, Primal Storm. Murmuring Mystic. Octavia, Living Thesis. This will end up being very cheap to cast, and it'll help me beef up my smaller creatures. Talrand, Sky Summoner. And Wandering Archaic / Explore the Vastlands, although I don't know who cast it as Explore the Vastlands. Wandering Archaic is pretty awesome. We got Baral, Chief of Compliance. This guy makes my instants and sorceries even cheaper to cast, by 1. Battlefield Thaumaturge. This is similar to Hinata, but it only makes spells cheaper for each creature it targets, and it doesn't make my opponent's spells more expensive to cast. He's less likely to be targeted, and also more difficult to target because he gives himself hexproof until end of turn whenever he's targeted. Pyramid of the Pantheon. This mana rock starts out as a filter. Once you've used it 3 times, you can tap it for 3 mana of any color. Empowered Auto-Generator. This mana rock generates more mana every time it's used. Pyromancer's Goggles. 5 mana for a mana rock that only produces 1 red mana seems like a bad deal, but it's a very good deal when it doubles your instances and sorceries. Ornithopter of Paradise. Palladium Mirror. Wayfarer's Bauble. Hedron Archive. Worn Power Stone. Mind Stone. Arcane Signet. And Soul Ring. Alright, for the lands, we got mountains, islands, and plains, of course. Silver Bluff Bridge, Spectator Seating, Alpine Meadow, Deserted Beach, Prairie Stream, Swiftwater Cliffs, Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Archway Commons, a bit slow, but still, it's a mana of any color. Ash Barrens, Exotic Orchard, Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance, Iganjo, Seed of the Empire, and Slayer's Stronghold. And there we have it. That is my current Hinata Dawn-Crowned deck. Tell me what you think of it and what cards I should have in it instead of what I have in it now, and I will see you next time.